bring Michael to us. Is that
Good afternoon, everyone.
That's what he said.
Welcome to New West Symphony's Meet the Artists. We are always so excited when Michael Christie and the crew come back to visit us. And today we have David Ravetch, and I just met David. I'm very happy to meet him, but a lot of you know David very well because he has a giant fan base, and he has had fans come up to him all morning, so that's...
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's very exciting. We also have Matthew Harget, and he will be on saxophone, Anna Kovalev, and I believe she will be a pianist today, and Max Kaminsky on clarinet. So without further ado, I'll have Michael take over. Thank you for being here again.
Thank you, Holly. David Ravetch, come on up here and join me. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much.
The opportunity to share the stage, because we don't often get to do that. No, wherever is most comfortable. It's fantastic. Today's program, well, great turnout today. It's wonderful to have you here. For those of you in internet land, my name is Michael Christie. I'm the music director of the New West Symphony, and you're watching us from University Village in Thousand Oaks, California. And University Village is also the proud sponsor of our E.T. the Extraterrestrial in concert this weekend, so we want to thank University Village for their ongoing support. And this partnership with University Village has been going on for many, many years. We have brought examples of the programs that will be performed at our venues in Thousand Oaks and Camarillo. We've brought artists, lots of opportunities for our residents and friends who are joining us from the community to experience the music in a close-up way. So today's a little bit more interesting because obviously there's no piano soloist or violin soloist on E.T., the Extraterrestrial. So I thought this is always a great opportunity to expand the kind of people that we bring into Meet the Artists. And of course, David is not only incredible at presenting with such authority and creativity the music, but you're also an artist as well, which I really appreciate.
I play a little piano. Maybe I'll play a little tonight, this afternoon for you, but I appreciate you so much inviting me here. I heard a rumor that you tried to talk to Picasso and Rembrandt. They turned you down, so you picked me. Thank you.
Spielberg was tough, but you know, that's how it goes.
I'll tell him you said so over dinner.
All right. So in 1982, Steven Spielberg released E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and I remember watching that film that year. Probably, let's see, 1974 or 1982. So I was probably a little bit younger than what I would probably recommend now for kids to watch it, but it was really intense to see all of the different cinematic effects, the drama, but I thought it would be wonderful for this time of year because, of course, the Halloween scenes with E.T. and his sheet with the eyes cut out, and he was following Yoda. If you remember, he saw Yoda and follows. But what I didn't recognize then, I would have been about 8, 9 years old, was the importance of the musical score to the storytelling in a film. Just didn't recognize it. Of course, we had seen many Star Wars films by that point, Jaws already, now E.T., and Star Trek. I mean, there are all these ones that without the musical score, the storytelling would be just completely different, which is one of the reasons I wanted to include this particular project in our 30th anniversary season. Because I think film, obviously, in this community, in the Southern California region, is so important. But many of our musicians are on those film scores, on the Netflix series scores as well, doing all sorts of projects that amplify the notion that the music is a key character in the storytelling. And I thought with our 30th anniversary, not only celebrating our musicians who are in the orchestra that are on those soundtracks, but also to demonstrate that we are, in our 30 years, expanding our repertoire, looking at the orchestra as a critical voice in storytelling in lots of different ways. So last time we were here, we had the best of Beethoven, and now we're at E.T. Our next concert in a month will be leading us into the winter holiday season with Winter Dreams. So all of the concerts of our 30th anniversary season have been telling these stories. But nobody has been better at telling the stories of our concerts than David Ravetch.
It's very kind of you. I'm so grateful that I get the opportunity to do it and work with the orchestra, and I love doing it, so thank you for...
Well, I'm going to come around here just so we can have a little quick chat.
All right.
But, you know, the thing that I really appreciate, not only the information that you give to the audience and the energy with which you deliver it, but you have a life of heart and head, which I think is wonderful, and I hope you'll give them a little sense of the picture of David Ravetch.
So in my other life, I'm faculty in the business school at UCLA, teaching God's subject,
Dun, dun, dun.
accounting. So I teach accounting and personal finance and data analytics, but my heart and soul is music. When I was 7 years old, my mother, who grew up in Vermont, had her family piano shipped out to LA, and I started taking piano lessons and just loved music. And so I try in my presentations not only to teach you something, but to show you the love that I have for the music, and try and find some stuff that's fun about it too. And there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about this concert coming up.
We had lunch a little while ago, and we were talking about the fact that Reese's Pieces figure prominently in the film and was one of the early product placement opportunities. And David pointed out,
Reese's Pieces wasn't the first choice by the filmmakers. It was M&M's. And M&M's turned it down because they didn't want it to be associated, I don't know. And then Reese's Pieces said, oh, we'll take it, and changed Reese's Pieces forever.
it sure did. And at the concerts, you'll have an opportunity to win some prizes. We'll have a couple of glass containers, and you'll have to guess the number of Reese's Pieces in those containers for some prizes. So
Right.
And the other thing that I thought, as I was mentioning about the Halloween scenes and sequences in E.T., is that we are on the Halloween weekend, and how rare it is to have Halloween kind of butting up against the weekend. So Friday, so when you wear your Halloween costumes tomorrow night, right, all of you, then I want to make sure you save a little bit of whatever sparkle and other things going on, maybe drops of blood coming out of your Dracula teeth, whatever that is, for the concerts. And we're encouraging people to bring and wear their Halloween costumes. So we certainly hope that friends, families, young kids, old kids will have a little bit of fun.
Are you dressing up in costume, or is that a closely guarded secret?
It is not a closely guarded secret, but we'll talk about what all has to go into making this thing work with a full orchestra on stage, because it is not for the faint of heart. I'll put it that way.
Well, no one better to do it than Michael Christie.
So let's hear a little bit of music before we carry on the conversation. We have three wonderful colleagues, and I thought it might be interesting if they're okay to start perhaps with the theme from Terminal, because the film The Terminal, that John Williams was also the composer of, and just to get us in the world of John Williams. What do you guys think? We good for some Terminal? All right, fantastic. So joining us on clarinet is Max Kaminsky. Thank you so much for being with us. And pianist Anna Kovalova. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Max. And actually, I was thinking as I was listening, Max, it was really so beautifully played, like how mischievous that piece is. I know you got a lot of other things to think about rather than, whether it's happy, sad, or mischievous, but I was thinking about, just in normal training to become a clarinetist, for example. John Williams isn't the first name that comes to mind, right, when you think about the repertoire that you play. So when you think about John Williams, who creates these beautiful scenes, but then writes this incredibly virtuosic music, like it's a mix of virtuoso and film score. So like what happens was you're thinking about a piece like this, like how does it rate in terms of the difficulty, the interest compared to the other repertoire that you might learn?
Well, a lot of John Williams music is like big orchestral stuff for a large scene, sometimes in the background. What this piece is, it's supposed to be kind of the main character's theme in this movie. And so it's kind of, like a lot of solo material, you can kind of get into this character. It's not, big background music, overarching large themes that are kind of too big to really conceptualize. You can kind of get into the feel of the character and who he is and what's happening to him in this movie.
So what do you think, when you see John Williams because we have John Williams as the film composer, we also have John Williams as a jazz composer, but then as like the serious music composer as well. Like, how does he write for that clarinet? Like, are you happy with how he writes for that instrument?
Oh, this piece is great. He did a great job with it. He's supposed to capture like the very Eastern European kind of dancey energy, and I think it's really in there. The chords are kind of funky. The articulation is very tight. A lot of the rhythm is very you can step along to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I imagine Tom Hanks, right? You imagine Tom Hanks in the terminal, kind of getting shoved around as he's going. Well, fantastic. We'll bring you back in a little bit for your next selection, and thank you very, very much. So, David, thinking about as you prepare for any of your pre-concert lectures, let alone one that has like this, I don't know, well, without having like a concerto be part of it or a symphony where you have to actually bring people into the piece, like how do you devise these pre-concert programs, and then what perhaps is most unique about doing something off the beaten track like this?
I listen to all the music, and then I find the stuff that I really love in the music, and then I try and research about the music to try and find little nuggets of joy that I can share with the audience, either about how it was written or what inspired it, or something in the music that they can hear and then hang their hat on, so when they hear it again with the orchestra, they'll recognize it. This particular concert was a little trickier because I didn't want to. Everyone knows E.T., and so I'm actually going to talk about John Williams and his life and show you music that you might not have heard before by John Williams, which is extraordinarily beautiful. So
one of the pieces that he wrote that made me happiest, because it brings me back to my youth, is he does the end credits for Gilligan's Island. Oh, did I ruin one of your things? Oh, shoot.
To be continued this weekend. To be continued, yeah. I'll just tell you that he actually, Gilligan's Island was a pilot, and he wrote the theme song for the pilot. It was never shown, but I found it. So I'm going to show you his theme song. It was never used because then Schwartz wrote the theme. And his theme was 2 minutes long, and calypso, but really cool. So anyway, I'll show you that this weekend.
So one of the things that we really appreciate is that you really go full in on these presentations. Not only do you deliver the information in speech, but also you really come to us with a lot of visual representations, and you put a lot of time into these presentations, which we really appreciate.
Well, it's a labor of love. I do it for all of you. When I first started doing this, I think this is my 11th year doing it with you. And when I first started doing it, there was someone else. We were doing 3 concerts each weekend, and the gentleman who was doing it didn't want to go to Santa Monica for the third concert on Sunday. So I said to Natalia, I'll go to Santa Monica. She thankfully, and I thank her to this day, gave me this opportunity. And it was so new to me, and I was trying to find my own voice. And the gentleman that did it before me had his little iPhone and would just play little snippets from the music. And then one day I thought, well, wait, why don't I show them video so they have something to actually watch? And then that just gave me opportunities to do all kinds of stuff and interact with the audience and try and make it feel familial. You know, we're all doing this together, and get them involved. I think for me, as an instructor at UCLA, that's my secret sauce, to involve the audience and not just be talking to you the whole time, but to have you responding with me and doing problems with me at UCLA, and then here, try and find ways to get you involved in the process.
I was just about to ask about that UCLA connection. So, in the world of accounting and personal finance,
Yes.
what's the icebreaker that you would have with I don't know if they have it in freshman year, but whatever your first experience with a student in your classes that don't know you, do you have an icebreaker that kind of makes them realize that, hey, Ravetch is going to be a little bit of a different ride for us? Or we don't want to give it away, I guess.
No, it's okay. I'll tell you a story. So in the old days, I used to teach the big intro classes, lecture hall classes. And I had a reputation that I was fun, but I was very challenging. And suddenly the audience is not so happy. It's UCLA, of course. And they had all heard about me. So I start off class by saying, all right, I know you've heard rumors about me. Tell me what you've heard, and then I'll tell you the truth. And sometimes they would say stuff, oh, only one person gets an A. I said, no, 3 of you. No, but they hear this stuff that may not be true. So I use that to, number one, interact with them right away, and number 2, keep it fun and uplifting, and then tell them the truth. Yes, I'm going to challenge you, but we're going to have a lot of fun and learn a whole lot along the way.
So I think we get an idea of the infectious joy that you have for music. So what was the thing that brought you into your world of personal finance, accounting? Like what's the nugget of?
It goes back to taking accounting in college and having it just come very easily to me. I was just connected to it. I was a math guy when I was in high school. I was a math major at UCLA, and I started taking accounting and just loved it, and that's the left side of my brain. But the right side of my brain has always embraced music, and not only what I do with you, but writing music. I've written some musicals, and I just love music, way more than accounting. But accounting is what I know, and what they let me teach. But I'll tell you something. I'm having dinner with a friend of mine who's a music professor, and it turns out he says to me, David, I'm going to miss the first week of classes. I'm going to Washington, D.C. He's teaching Rachmaninoff. I said to him, I'll teach your classes for you. He said, I think that's a very good idea. So I did a whole week of Rachmaninoff for Doc Stevenson, who unfortunately is no longer around. But that was such a great experience. I talked about the second piano concerto. Do you know the tune? Can I? Oh, I'm sorry. So sorry. Do you know this tune? Do you know that tune? That's All By Myself by Eric Carmen. Well, he stole that melody from Rachmaninoff's second piano concerto. And Rachmaninoff was dead by that time, but the copyright hadn't expired yet. And his estate was a little upset and sued Eric Carmen for 14%. So for 14% of the royalties, or 12% of the royalties, had to be paid to the estate. And then Carmen wrote another song Oh gosh, this one's going to be tougher to play. It goes, I'm so sorry. No. No. Do you recognize that?
No.
Never wanna run to say goodbye. Something new. Thank you for letting me sing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, he had another big hit, but that is from the third movement of Rachmaninoff's Second Symphony. And
Paid a lot to the Rachmaninoff estate.
He got another 12%. So anyway, when Doc Stevens let me lecture about these pieces, I included stories like that.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
in a way, that was what I do with you now with the symphony.
All right, well, let's hear a little bit more music. So we have two wind instruments. So we heard clarinet. So let's bring on Matthew Harget, who is our saxophone soloist. And Matthew, I don't really mind which of the pieces you play. Maybe you can decide and let us know what you think.
Absolutely. We are going to continue on with a little bit more John Williams. Piece from music from Catch Me If You Can. And it's what Williams did. He doesn't normally write for saxophone very often, but he talked to the saxophonists that played it on the original recording, Dan Higgins, and they came together to create a wonderful mix of classical and jazz. I am primarily a classical saxophonist, but we often do a little bit of both. It's kind of hard to escape. So, yes, this is a little bit of John Williams.
Thank you so much, Matthew. And Catch Me If You Can, of course, features Leonardo DiCaprio, which is it's a really fun. Also, I'm just thinking both of you played these two mischievous pieces, which I think is wonderful. And you know, another thing about John Williams is that he wrote a whole series of concertos for various instruments in the orchestra. So I just wonder, I mean, how is he capturing your instrument as this? I don't know. We just think of John Williams. It's hard to, you can't put your finger exactly on how awesome he is, but he seems to be awesome with every instrument.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not often we see saxophone in like a concerto setting, but I think that he just let Dan Higgins run with it and the jazz influence, and it was very, I don't know how much they worked together, but you could tell there's at least some collaboration between them that I think really helped it shine.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll hear more of you in just a little bit. Thank you so very much. One little, yeah, I agree. Yeah. One little nugget I thought was so interesting after our Beethoven concerts a month ago. I was talking to our concertmaster, Elisa Park, and Elisa is typically the leader of John Williams' studio sessions. So actually now, if you watch the newer films to the end and see the credits, you will see actually, now they list the orchestra members that play or the chorus members that sing on the film scores. It was one of the big things that came out of the writer's strike that happened a couple years ago. And very proudly, now I actually make my family go all the way to the end of the film to see, because I say, you know, I'm sure that it's going to be at least a half a dozen new West Symphony members, and it's usually a lot more, which I think is fantastic. But after that concert a month ago, I said, hey, so what's coming up in the intervening time? And she said, you won't believe this, but we're going into another John Williams session. And the previous one that they had done, I don't know, some number of months ago, they all thought for sure that was the last one. And so I don't actually know what the film project is. She didn't know. Often they're, sometimes on the lesser known projects or lesser known composers or directors, they'll know what it is, but she said for this one, no one, either she couldn't say what it was or they didn't know yet what it was for. So there's something new coming out, Spielberg and John Williams apparently, and they were in the studio this month recording it.
I thought his last film was going to be the last Indiana Jones, but it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's just remarkable. And as I mentioned before, John Williams, like so many film composers, isn't just content to write for the studio. So John Williams has written all these concertos, and of course he had a huge chapter of his life as the principal conductor of the Boston Pops.
Right,
which
took over for Arthur Fiedler.
Right, and all those amazing recordings of the repertoire during the highlight of the recording boom, I suppose.
And he also was a jazz pianist. I mean, a very good jazz pianist. So all the jazz you're hearing today is, I think, a natural.
Yeah, I don't think he has to think about it at all,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I think is amazing. So I just want to go back to UCLA for just another moment. So here you are, you're 5 weeks into quarter number 1. Do students, would you say they're taking these classes because they know they want to be accountants or in personal finance, or like proportionally would you say, or are these people maybe in a business degree and want to have a little bit of an entryway into these? Like what's the secret formula, I guess, that students are now putting together and using your classes?
So this quarter I'm teaching data analytics, which is really Excel applied to accounting. And many, many years ago, we sent a whole bunch of students into accounting, finance, investment banking careers, and they didn't know Excel. So we wanted to make sure that not only did they know Excel, but they were better than everyone else, all their colleagues. Yeah, well, as long as I'm going to teach this class, I wanted to make it life-changing for them so that when they get out in the real world, it would make a difference. And one of my students tells this great story that he was an intern And the partner on a Monday said, I've got 75 Excel files, I want you to put them all together. You take the rest of the week. And in 15 minutes he was done. And he went from being just an ordinary recruit to the superstar in the office. So it's cool. And then with personal finance, I think the students are really hungry for it because they know very little about money and credit cards and buying homes and cars and insurance and all the things that we as adults have to deal with. And so I try and give them the opportunity to learn all that stuff, and they're very excited. So
I think I want to audit your classes.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome.
I want to know more about Excel, which I use in a very clumsy way. And even today, actually, my wife's hospital system in Minneapolis has changed how they do their benefits. So they've become very corporatized, and it's all very ugh. But in any case, we were looking at all these different plans, and now the doctors have this thing called 457B, and all these things. And so I was on the
457B.
Yeah, all these things. So maybe I need to get a secret little camera into your class to find out what's going on.
I'll come to Minnesota and help you.
All right, fantastic. Well, let's get another bit of music. Let's bring back Max Kaminsky on clarinet. And Max we're going to take a little bit of a tour. The piece he's playing is called Tango, from 4 Pictures from New York. And Max, I might just have you just say a quick word about the piece, just to get everybody oriented to what they're going to hear.
So in the 1920s, George Gershwin, famous composer, went to Paris. And in Paris, he saw like the hustle and bustle, the buildings, very, classical, typical, like very picturesque, site of Paris. And he wrote a symphonic poem about it that is now known as An American in Paris, for that is what he was. And modern composer Michel Mangani wrote a bit of a bluesy thing for a solo clarinet on as a kind of a little homage to this piece.
so very much. Absolutely fantastic. Hear it. And actually, this is a great segue to a bit of information that is on your seat. If you take a look, you'll see an American flag and a violin. So many of you have been asking about tickets for next season in Thousand Oaks. Thank you again so very much. Really appreciate it. And so, as I mentioned, with my wife's hospital system going through a big technology shift, we've also been going through a shift, which is why you haven't gotten your ticket information yet for Thousand Oaks. For Camarillo, you probably have received this information. So one thing I think is wonderful about that piece of music is it's a perfect segue into what next season is, which is going to be under the umbrella of America's 250th birthday. And I know that you've heard me mention this many times with various programs. We had been calling it the Road to 250, and we have been doing various pieces and presentations with this amazing 250th birthday of America in mind. But now we're here. We started that in 2023, and now we're here in 2026 with this program. And every piece on the program here has, actually including the Marriage of Figaro, but has something to do with America's history. Marriage of Figaro only because that was what was being written as America was taking its very, very first steps through the Revolutionary War and kind of becoming the America, at least the beginning of the American democratic experiment. Then all the other pieces on this program have some interesting connection. So, for example, I was telling our lunch folks that Brahms Symphony No. 1, for example, was premiered in 1876 when America turned 100. So I've made all sorts of little connections. No concert here is more precious than the other for me. I really enjoy so much putting these together. We'll be kicking off with a couple of patriotic favorites, of course, Star Spangled Banner, the Stars and Stripes, Forever March, some music from Porgy and Bess. Then I've often been fascinated by how, especially in America, opera and musical theater made this dramatic split, especially in the early part of the 20th century. A split which I think is actually completely regrettable. I think we really missed a huge opportunity to create an American voice that relied and was easily transferable between the genres. But somehow we have musical theater and we have opera, and that's the way it is. So, but I thought it would be fun to juxtapose that with some Stephen Sondheim, with some Leonard Bernstein, some Philip Glass, to go back and forth a little bit between America, the opera world, and America, the musical theater world, as part of telling the story about how American music had developed as part of our national story. We will have collaborations with the Los Robles Children's Choir, as we often do, the Pacific Festival Ballet, as we often do. One project that I'm so curious to see how people are going to enjoy it, because I think it's just absolutely wonderful, is the conductor Marin Alsop, about 30 years ago, worked with two arrangers to reimagine Handel's Messiah as a gospel, jazz, and rhythm and blues work. And so the music is the same, but it is like a revival mass. I mean, it's just one of the most remarkable things. And so for our kickoff to the winter season next year, not this year. This year is called Winter Dreams. You're gonna love it. It has Duke Ellington's version of the Nutcracker. But next year, this Too Hot to Handle, it's called, the Gospel Messiah, is just gonna blow the roof off. It's just amazing. It has all of the movements with all of the text that you know, with all the melodies that you know, but with a big band embedded in the orchestra, and it touches the soul in just such a different way. And strangely enough, it has never been done in Southern California, which I think is just outrageous, but we're gonna do it first, and hopefully we'll own that a little bit. So very, very pleased about that. So for the folks in Camarillo, I've just reminded you about that, and if you haven't gotten your season tickets, or however you buy them, singles or subscriptions, however that is, And then for folks in Thousand Oaks, we'll be in touch fairly soon about how you can participate in next year. So don't worry, we haven't forgotten you, and we're still doing concerts next year. We just know that it's several months later than what most people expect, and several of you have asked, what's happening with New West Symphony next year? Because, wow, it's crickets. But there has been no lack of effort going into next season, so really, really looking forward to that. I'm going to bring on Matthew one more time to play saxophone, and in the meantime, while he's getting ready and playing, if you have any questions for David, why don't you just get them in your head, and we'll ask some questions on the way out. Because you don't get a chance to get audience questions, really. You do your presentation, and then, you know,
Off I go.
it comes out, and there we go. The hook comes out, and you're going. So let's bring Matthew Harget back out. And I made a mistake before because I said tango from 4 Pictures from New York, but actually that's what you're going to play for us now. Do you want to say anything about this wonderful piece?
This is a movement from a piece by Robert Molinelli's 4 Pictures from New York, and it captures the sense of walking through New York City, and then there's the different sounds that you hear as you pass from one place to the next. This movement is a tango, an homage to the great bandoneon player Astor Piazzolla, who was Argentinian, but moved to New York at a very young age. And it's meant to capture the sound as you're walking by a club, one of the many clubs in the 20th century that would be playing an Argentinian tango or Latin American music.
Thank you.
much. I want to thank our performers, Matthew Harget, pianist Anna Kovaleva, Max Kaminsky and Clarinet. Thank you so much. Really fantastic to have you with us. Yeah, just amazing. So questions, any questions for David? Because you've experienced so many different kinds of concerts with him. Yes, please.
Where do you find all the cartoons and the funny jokes that you are?
Where do you find all of the shtick, let's just say, the cartoons and jokes?
YouTube. There are collections of Bugs Bunny cartoons, and I've got them, so I can grab. He does Rhapsody Rabbit. If you've never seen it before, go on YouTube. Rhapsody Rabbit. He plays the Hungarian Rhapsody by Liszt. It's fantastic. Go to the Rabbit of Seville. It's the Barber of Seville in 7 minutes. It's fantastic. When I was growing up, that's where I listened to a lot of classical music from Bugs Bunny.
And they still do.
Great source. Yeah.
So while you're thinking of any other questions you might have, I'll come around to you in just 1 second. I just want to remind everybody that, so in addition to ET that's happening this weekend, the weekend following the Thanksgiving weekend, so the first full weekend, from the first full week of December, we'll be back with our Winter Dreams program. And as I mentioned before, that's a really fun program with a little twist on the Nutcracker by Duke Ellington. We'll be featuring a dance company that we worked with a few years ago, actually just after COVID, called California Contemporary Ballet. They just do such beautiful, energetic work. We'll have our Los Robles Children's Choir, our new West Symphony Chorus, music of Tchaikovsky without Duke Ellington as well, but Duke Ellington and just Tchaikovsky. We'll have some audience sing-along opportunities. We're going to go back to this beautiful Los Posadas tradition, which I think is just one of the most moving traditions of this holiday time, which is celebrated by so many people just down in our community, especially in the west part of the county, which is fantastic. And then on the same night, we have Winterfest, which is now on our 4th year, which is a culinary and musical experience which celebrates, in particular, the winter solstice. And I know I've mentioned that many, many times, but after that, you can stroll into our Winter Dreams concert. But that's a wonderful opportunity to support the symphony, to have a beautiful meal with lots of influences from around the world that takes you into the concert. Which also reminds me that if folks have been enjoying the NVIDIA or Qualcomm stock surges that have been happening lately going into the end of the year, or have some distributions you have to make from your IRAs, that are exceptional. I would be remiss if I didn't say that New West Symphony has just been so lucky to have so many generous people supporting us. We are sorry that the ticket price cannot fully support and pay for everything that you see. It's just the nature of the beast. So any gifts that you consider giving to the symphony are greatly appreciated. We have, of course, experienced beautiful gestures of help as the funding landscape has changed for lots of reasons beyond our control. We've also come against some really unfortunate barriers which are just annoying and unnecessary for the arts to have to face, and to have to just keep pushing the boulder up the hill, especially with some certain areas in our world. It's just really disappointing. So we're continuing to just encourage people to keep the arts, especially at this time, in their minds as we head into the gift-giving season at the end of the year. And we're so very, very grateful for all the ways that you all participate, buying a ticket, coming to this event, being an advocate for the arts, just telling people to participate is so very important. And any other ways that you contribute are just deeply, deeply appreciated.
It's called a required minimum distribution.
I didn't want to get into it. I didn't want to.
I'm just throwing it in, a little personal finance.
See, we all can learn something. I knew it had a proper name, but No, which is
Trying to be helpful.
Oh, you're
Maestro
incredibly,
Michael.
incredibly helpful. I know there's a question over here.
My question is for you, Michael. How did you find these marvelous musicians?
How do we find these marvelous musicians? Well, we are so lucky to have in the Southern California region just the most astounding array of talent. These musicians are trained. It's like this ecosystem of cross training between the different genres, the incredible professors and teachers that they have that are teaching them all the different skills that are required to make a living in this very tricky world, in any field, let alone music, but any field. And so our general manager, David Ravetch, is always kind of keeps his finger on the pulse of who's around doing what, and when we don't have a guest artist on the program like we would have for a Rachmaninoff piano concerto or Tchaikovsky violin concerto, we do have, fortunately, an amazing reservoir of just talent, which is just not only makes events like this so buoyant, but also fuels our orchestra as well, because we rely on that talent pool to supplement our already wonderful core musicians of the new West Symphony. So, yeah, it is remarkable, absolutely remarkable. Any other questions that anybody else has? All right, fantastic. Well, I want to thank all of you. David Ravetch, thank you so very much.
Michael Christie, thank you, and Sasha, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Concerts upcoming, E.T. this weekend, Winter Dreams, and then we'll be celebrating America's 250th in lots of wild, wonderful, expressive, and festive ways. So thank you all so very much for being here with us today.
Come an hour early, hear my lecture about John Williams.
Indeed. Thank you all very much.